Well, the University of Arkansas Title IX office has been very busy this year. 7 rapes and 1 sexual assault have been reported to the U of A Police Department in 2021, and many of those cases go right to the Title IX office on campus. Now, there's been a level of mistrust between students and the Title IX office, and the university is responding. In tonight's special report, we're taking a look at the role Title IX plays on the U of A campus and what the school's doing to bridge the gap with students. Students trust the Title IX office to make sure allegations of student-on-student harassment are investigated. But lately, that trust has been tested.
They, in many ways, feel like the Title IX office isn't going to be empathetic and compassionate in responding to a survivor. They may not feel like their incident will be responded to in a timely manner.
In 2018, a Title IX appeals panel found a former student was responsible for a sexual assault. He sued the university, and this year, he was given a $20,000 settlement. Student body president Coleman Warren says the overwhelming takeaway for students was the university fumbled the response.
Then we get this email, right, that shows a lack of understanding of what victim blaming is, or how to talk about sexual assault and orient it towards the perpetrator and not orient it towards the survivor.
Warren says the Title IX office did not have enough staff to handle assault allegations effectively, which U of A law professor Danielle Weatherby says can be a big problem. She's worked in Title IX compliance elsewhere and says this issue negatively impacts victims.
In my time representing school districts, I have seen circumstances in which Title IX complaints have been delayed because of a lack of staffing.
During those delays, Weatherby says evidence can be lost or forgotten, so Warren and other students petitioned for larger staff and more input on new hires. The university did add more manpower and involved some students in the interview process. Interim Chancellor Dr. Charles Robinson says he wants the students to see the school is taking action.
We take this very seriously, and it's not just seriously rhetorical seriousness. It's an actual planning and peopling seriousness.
The university hired a case manager and is looking to add 2 investigators and an outreach coordinator. It also has a brand new Title IX coordinator, Shanita Petaway. She started in early October and hit the ground running.
Every area that I see some type of lack or I see a need, I'm trying to think of different ways and different initiatives that we can implement in order to increase the reach of Title IX across the campus.
While Dr. Petaway works to mend her office's relationship with students, there are some other challenges. One is how Title IX complaints are investigated. The Trump administration shifted the burden of proof standard from a preponderance of evidence to clear and convincing evidence.
I do believe that this heightened burden of proof is more burdensome on victims of sexual assault or gender discrimination.
Basically, before the rule change, victims only needed to prove an attack likely happened. Under the new rules, the evidence must prove it beyond a reasonable doubt.
It makes it more difficult to prove the case, especially in a situation where a lot of sexual assaults or discrimination complaints are he said, she said.
I asked Dr. Petaway about the changes, and she says it's important to examine every angle.
In order to ensure due process, it is important that there is that presumption of innocence.
Moving forward, Dr. Petaway wants to bridge the gap between students and her office. The new outreach coordinator will work to educate and train students on Title IX.
I believe that we all work hand in hand. So with that being said, I think there has to be open communication.
And that's what Warren and other students want to see.
I think that sort of transparency will help and have more support for students.
Now, there's no word yet when those new positions will be filled, but people from outside the Title IX office might also get involved in handling these cases. And actually, there is word on when they'll be filled. Soon as possible is what the university told me. That was tonight. That just came in. Now, if a complaint makes it to an appeals panel, that panel can actually include university faculty that are not part of the Title IX office. It could also include people from outside the university entirely. One more thing to note, if the complainant is a student, the panel will decide the appeal, but if it's a university employee, the chancellor or a designee is going to decide that.